Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, Michelle Gomez here. So excited for you to be here with me on this episode of Networking with Michelle. So many good things are happening right now, but I'm gonna have to do a special episode with all of the good stuff that's going on in my life. But I wanted to take a moment to bless you. Yes, you. If you go back to, I think episode 76, I interviewed J. Kelly Hoey, Build Your Dream Network, on her new book, Build Your Dream Network, Forging Powerful Relationships in a Hyper-Connected World. Look, I got some great feedback from y'all on Twitter, Instagram, and some messages on Facebook. And Kelly was so generous. She enjoyed the interview so much. She decided to send me some books. And I wanted to give one away. But look, there are strings attached. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to jump in your app, jump on the website, go to the show notes. I have a survey. Yes, a survey. 10 questions, only 2 minutes. If you can complete that survey, your name will be entered into a drawing to win this book. Okay? Look, this is the thing with the survey. I love doing this. I really do. But I also want to make sure that I'm aligned with what you need. I want to be a person of value, right? I want to make sure that, I go back and forth with this. Do I need to go to twice a week? What kind of content do you want to hear? What are some of the topics, people, brands that you would like to see come across on this platform, right? I want to make sure that I'm in tuned, engaged with you, the listener. That's the only way I can keep doing this. So if you can take a little bit of time, 1 minute, 2 minutes, a little bit of time, do the survey, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to have this up, or the drawing is going to be available from March 1st to March 7th. I believe that's a Tuesday. So 1 week. You fill out the survey, put your name on a drawing. I will, whoever wins, I'll send you an email. I will mail this book to you personally. And with your permission, I may announce you as the winner on the following episode. Okay. Once again, Build Your Dream Network, Forging Powerful Relationships in a Hyper-Connected World by J. Kelly Hoey. That was episode 76. Great episode on networking. Great book. I actually bought the book on Kindle, so it was a blessing to receive this in the mail. And I also want to gift this to you as well. But please fill out the survey. The second reason why I'm excited about this episode is I am interviewing Tamara Floyd. Now, this woman is a complete doll. I don't even know where to begin. I think the beautiful thing about this new relationship with her is that we went to college together at University of Houston. And the reason why I say all is because just a few episodes back, I interviewed Icebreaker Washington. And you know how college is. But basically, even though that was over 10 years ago, we are able to form a relationship on the basis of entrepreneurship, right? On supporting each other through this journey, through life, as we're all pursuing this simple form of success, right? Because it's all about how you define it. And she has managed to turn her blog, naturalhairrules.com, into a 6-figure business, right? So many things. So I really enjoyed the interview, and some of the things that we talked about. It's just pretty much her evolution, right? As a mom, as a wife, as a blogger, as an entrepreneur. What were some of those things that she did to take it to the next level when it came to her blogging? What are the things that she does to tap into her audience, and how does she balance it all, right? And at this point, is she successful, right? Because my last question is, how do you define success? And based on that definition, is she successful at this state? It's a beautiful conversation. I hope you really enjoy it. Please visit Tamara's website, naturalhairrules.com. A lot of valuable information there for our sisters. Now, fellas that are listening, look, this is not a hair interview, right? This is not a hair show, But if you like to write, if you like to produce content, if you're developing a personal brand, trust me, there's things that you're going to be able to take away from this episode. Okay, I will not lead you astray. I love you too much for that. I also want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by Line 25 Consulting, empowering entrepreneurs to develop their personal brand by tapping into their relationships and leveraging expertise. That sounds like you. Visit line25consulting.com. Without further ado, Tamara Floyd. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Networking with Michelle. I am so excited about this episode. I have Tamara Floyd, founding editor of Natural Hair Rules. Now look, I've been fortunate to watch her journey from afar. It's going back to U of H, University of Houston, go Cougs. So we've known each other since 2006-ish. Through some mutual friends. Hopefully y'all remember the interview I did with Ice and Quaid Washington, The Process of Progress. We're all friends. So anyways, look, naturalhairrules.com. It's a natural hair beauty blog, one of the top most featured blogs. So we're just going to shoot the breeze. Tamara, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, congratulations on your success. It's been an absolute pleasure watching you and your husband do y'all's thing within this space.
You know what? Thank you so much for that. And just thank you, from your support from afar. That definitely means a lot.
Yeah, so, how'd you get started? Tell the folks, how did you?
So I got started it started with me going natural in 2006. Just not a lot of information online. Most of us, I was like one of those people who had no idea what my natural hair looked like. I didn't have a clue what products would work or even how to style my hair. I really didn't even learn how to like cornroll and twist and all of that stuff until I went natural and different stylists were like, we have $20 relaxers, but like like a lot of people, I had to just learn how to make it work. And I was the first one among my circle of friends and even in my family to embark on the natural journey. So I was getting so many questions, and I had a friend that was going to study abroad. And I was like, well, how are you going to keep in touch with people? And she's like, I'm going to start a blog. And I was like, what is a blog? Like immediately, like my ears like perked up. This is my first time ever hearing about it. And she told me, and I was like, yeah, like I'm gonna start a blog. like, like I need somewhere to send all these people that are asking me questions about products and how to style my hair and just kind of document the journey. So it started off as like my own personal natural hair journal, and a creative outlet because I was in school, still fairly newly married and also working full time, and I just needed somewhere to go to have like my own space. And I started the blog in 2008, October 2008. So we're going on 10 years with the blog, which blows my mind because again, like I just thought to myself, ooh, I'll do that. and it just kind of turned into this business. And the last 5 years has been generating over 6 figures the last 5 years. And as well as have a social media following of over 700,000 now with the blog.
Now, I think the part that amazes me is, I'll just say 2006 for easy reference. Natural hair was new. It was, you really didn't know. I mean, we were thinking about Erykah Badu and ladies burning incense and
like you were for the cause, like Black Power, fist raised, like, getting back to your roots. Like you went natural and you wore an afro. That was it.
So that was one part of it, right? Mm-hmm. But the second part on the business side, I mean, blogging was still kind of new. Like WordPress just became available around that 2006 or 7 era as far as becoming popular or, mainstream.
Hmm.
So I just feel like you're new to both of these things. Hair,
Yeah.
natural hair and blogging. Like, how are you making this work?
I said for a long time, and I have to give myself more credit, but I really didn't feel like I was making it work. It was just kind of like, this is my hobby. This is my safe space. Like, a lot of it was trial and error, and there was a lot of trial and error. So figuring stuff out with my hair as well as with the blogging space. I don't think, especially being in Houston, Texas, there were like, I was the real blogger in my circle. And so they would ask me, "Oh, you have a blog? How often do you post?" And I'd be like, 2, 3 times a week, which I thought was like nothing, because people I was following, they were posting like almost every day. And so they're like, "Oh, you're a real blogger." Like, and I'm like, well, I guess so. I mean, I'm posting, so yeah.
I think it's amazing. Like, if you think about it, you're ahead of the game before the game even started, right? Because it's just like last year, of course, with social media, video, and live streaming, everyone's like, I love Gary Vee. They're like, don't consult, right? Um, document your journey. And like, you've been doing that. So,
Mhm, mhm.
so it's like, okay, we just trying to catch up to Tamara. That's all we trying to
Well,
do.
I appreciate that. That was definitely a good point, because I'm realizing more and more that people are really, really interested in the story of how I've done it, and how I've been able to balance, I guess, business and family. Which, to me, I'm like, because it's a part of my everyday, I'm like, what balance? What is like? What are you talking about? But yeah, that's a very good point.
When did you realize? Because you were growing. You were pretty much the go-to person. I didn't discover Curly Nikki until like much later. I transitioned in 2009, and you were the go-to person, right? And I know you had some T-shirts. At what point did you realize, I'm onto something? Do I need to create some products, some team? Like, what were some of the ideas you had going on at that time? But I guess between 2010, 2015.
Yeah. So by that time, so I probably started attempting to work full time for myself around that time. I actually was working for a nonprofit organization, and there were a lot of transitions in the office, and one of the ladies that came in to be my boss, um it was really stressful. I was training her, and then she brought her friend in, and I was training her friend. And then all this time, like, they're basically, she told me that, you know what, before they hired me, they want to fire you. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, like, I definitely don't want to be anywhere where I'm not appreciated, because I definitely felt like at that time that I was bringing a lot to the table. Like, I wouldn't have been in the position that I was. And then I had, from the time that I like walked into the door for that position, I was promoted like 3 times within a 2 year time frame. So we had all of that going on, and I have been like side hustling, doing just a lot. Coco, sorry, my dog. Um, just side hustling with different things in the community and stuff like that. So like, I worked with a city council member on her campaign, and then she brought me on part time while I was still taking classes at U of H. And so I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna just volunteer. And I had a friend who, and thank God for your friends that are entrepreneurs, right? Because she was like, oh no, you have too much experience. You need to be charging. I was like, you know what? you're right. So then you go on this journey of trying to figure out like what that looks like, what your pricing is going to be, what your packages are going to be and stuff like that. And at this time I still had natural hair rules, but in my mind, because I had already established that that was my creative outlet, and um I just thought to myself, I didn't know anybody that was monetizing their site. I just thought that, if people came to me wanting certain things like to advertise and stuff like that, then yeah, that I would do that. And then after I got my logo, I had some people on my Facebook page that were interested in buying T-shirts. So I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. But it really didn't even occur to me that I could really make it a business until like my son was 2, and my husband had got laid off from his job, and it was just kind of like, where I need to figure out how to make this work for me, um, because I really, when my son, making sure that I could be there for him. I didn't want to miss out on anything, any major milestones and stuff like that. And I really wasn't ready to do daycare. Both of my children, we waited to at least 1.5 before they even went to daycare. Um, so just kind of going through those mindset changes of um, being okay charging, and at this time it was for marketing and public relations, um, and going through that entrepreneur journey, and the ups and downs of having customers that are unappreciative, that don't necessarily want to pay you, and always having to prove, even though you feel like your resume should speak for itself, always having to prove your worth and your value when it comes to your pricing and securing your clients. So trying to do all of that with an infant and toddler, I was like, yeah, I need to find something a little bit different. And at this time, Natural Hair Rules was probably about 4 years. So I really started on the journey of figuring out what it looked like to monetize that into turn that more into a full-time business versus doing the public relations and marketing business.
Gotcha. I like how you said, thank God for entrepreneur friends, because I know that's something I've kind of struggled with. Um, when I transitioned from corporate into entrepreneurship, especially in the beginning stages, like that first
Mm-hmm.
year or two, like my friends, they'll ask me like, "How are you?" And I would talk, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't
Yeah.
understand what I'm going through over here."
Right. Right.
And I remember just recently, late last year, I had a breakdown with my best friend, and I was like, I don't know when things are going to get better,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know? But I realized, like, now that I'm in the game, my circle of friends has definitely changed,
Yeah.
and they're more entrepreneur friends
Yeah.
than others. So how has that, like, have you noticed that over the years as well?
Definitely. Because I've always wanted different things for my life. In regards to, at the time I didn't know it was more of lifestyle design, but that's exactly what it was. Because I basically came to college with the mindset, and I was 17 at the time. I graduated at 17 and went to college at 17. So I went to college with the mindset of, okay, this is my 5-year plan. Get through this college thing, probably go into the military so that I can pay off my student loans. It's still always kind of setting myself up to have financial freedom. Um, and I So also that dictated like the major that I was in, because I did biology with a concentration in medical technology, because I felt like, okay, this is going to provide me the job security that I need, which, you know, in turn would give me that financial freedom that I was wanting. Um, so in that 5-year plan, there was no marriage or children. Like, it's like me getting this paper, you know, stacking this. So my mindset was always geared to creating the financial freedom so I could live the lifestyle that I wanted. So when you have that type of mindset, people don't necessarily understand. You know, a lot of my friends were looking at me because I ended up getting married at 20, so it's kind of like, oh my god, you know, you guys have been married for this long and stuff like that, and them aspiring to have like the husband and the children and the house and stuff like that. And I'm like, these things are cool. I definitely feel very thankful that I do have them, but that wasn't it wasn't a milestone for me. Um, so from that perspective, not everybody understands that. So having those conversations and having people that can kind of push you and encourage you to whatever your goals are, like that is so necessary. Like I really wouldn't even be where I am with my in my business if I didn't have those type of friendships and mentorships, because and I bring them up a lot, but Lamar and Ronnie Tyler of Black and Married with Kids, they were kind of like my first view of what successful bloggers look like. And it wasn't just the media attention, it was the fact that they had quit their 6-figure jobs to work their business full time, and you know, weren't hurting for anything. The fact that they even had the ability to do that, you know. So I got to a point where I wasn't exactly sure on how to monetize, but having those relationships and those connections helped to position my blog. One of my first like substantial contracts was from networking in that circle. So definitely, you have to have those friendships, and they kind of naturally just happen. I feel like life positions you in your purpose, and a lot of that is with relationships as well.
I love it. And shout out to Lamar and Ronnie Tyler. They've been on the show, and definitely Lamar. He's more visible, but he is so generous with his information, with his
He
knowledge.
is. They are very, very giving and supportive.
So, who are some other people that you've been, looking up to in general, just within I'll just say the online marketing space as a whole?
Yeah. I would definitely have to say Marie Folio. I am a Marie Folio B School graduate. I took the class in 2014. Um, and it's a program that I definitely believe in. It my only regret is that I didn't take it sooner, just because I didn't know about it. But if you are in a place where you don't necessarily know where to start with your online business, or if you want to transition kind of like your brick and mortar service-based business to more online, then that's definitely a class that you need to take. And I admire her so much because she's basically been doing this since the internet, so she has a lot of skin in the game. So I respect that, and that's definitely somewhere where I would like to take my business, because she's not like one of those people that is launching every month, like she has a once a year launch, and her consistent content throughout the year, but she is living the life that she wants to live. So from a lifestyle design perspective, definitely Marie Folio.
Yeah, that's a good point. It took me a while to really catch on to her. But yeah, even though I haven't taken B school, I do like the fact that it's only once a year because I do follow a lot of people in the space, and it can become overwhelming on which program do I invest in because they're like running back to back or simultaneously.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Wow. Okay, so I need to look into her more often, Marie Forleo. So you started the t-shirts. Well, let me ask you this: have you created any hair products?
I have not. At one point, I was interested in doing it. And then I think life happened with my son and understanding with the t-shirt business that everything that it takes to ship and then to have a physical product and products are not light to ship. So like whereas like a t-shirt or a canvas bag, that's less than a pound, so it's gonna cost you like less than $5 to ship that, and you don't necessarily have to worry about damage or spills and stuff like that. So after taking all of that stuff into consideration, I was like, nah, like that's not for me. That money is not for me, and I'm fine with that.
But that's good. I mean, that's very practical. I think it speaks to you because you're able to see other opportunities instead of just the direct path that most people usually take. And I'm working with a stylist right now, and I'm like, well, how come? I was challenging her. I was like, why aren't you, creating any products in the kitchen? And she's like, no, everyone's creating products, and I want to do this and this. I was like, okay, and I think that's a good point because I think one of the hardest things about life is that there's so many paths giving to us,
hmm
and then when we go, when we make a left instead of a right, people begin to question us and
hmm
like, why aren't you following the easy path? And it's like, no, I want to create my own path and see what I can grow mentally and physically out of that.
Yeah, and I think for me, it wasn't really until recently that I really realized that like so my physical and my digital products are like I don't actually sell physical hair products, but I'm a natural hair blogger. And um is very interesting because it's like, okay, you, even though this is your niche or this is your space, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. But at the same time, I think it speaks to the power of the internet, you know, that there are all these different avenues of repurposing content into like additional paid products. And there are people, you know, and I hope to be there one day very soon that are making multi-million dollars and $1 billion from these different types of products, and you make them. So like for example, one of my ebooks, um I probably worked on that for about 2 to 3 months, but I've been selling it for the past 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So even the time that it takes to create the product, and then since I've created the my sales funnel, it basically just kind of sells itself now. It's automated, and that was what I really wanted as far as like my lifestyle design, just kind of set and go passive income generating model.
When did you start incorporating a team of writers? I know you definitely have writers.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you be like, okay, I'm overworking myself? I need help. Help me.
Yeah, yeah. Again, because when um when I really started seeing like some income with the business, my son was, he was almost 2, or going on 3, and I knew, one, a toddler left unattended is never that is never a good thing. So, and I had also seen how people like your Mashables and your naturally curly and stuff like that. I was seeing how they were running their blogs, like their business models and stuff like that. Um, I knew I wanted the freedom to one, not even necessarily freedom, but I needed to be able to mother, like my, my toddler. So I couldn't be on the computer 24/7. Uh, and I knew people who kind of had I don't want to put them on blast, but you have like your Huffington Post that is making money but not paying people, and just I couldn't do that. I know how hard I had worked to create my site and to create my content, and I felt that I wanted to be in a position where I could invest into other people so they could in turn take that money and do, something similar or the same thing that I was doing with my business. And so as soon as I start seeing some real income and I can afford it, I made sure to start bringing on. And I started off with maybe two to three writers, and just paying for 4 posts a month. And at that time, like you could do like $25, and at that time, people weren't even paying necessarily $25. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I used to write. I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you have a forum on your website at one time?
No, I didn't. But by the time that I got hip to that, people were like, "Nah, forms are dead." So, yeah.
Because I've gone through several of your posts, not just today, but over the years, and you have great engagement. Of course, you said you have over 700,000 followers, but even on the blog post, you have great comments, great engagement across the board. How do you tap into your audience and create that content, whether it's you or your team, as far as what people want to see on a regular basis?
I'm constantly asking questions and just reading comments and engaging. And you get to a point where in your business where you start to see the trends and the information that people are wanting and needing, and you learn how to just recreate that in a way that people get exactly what it is that they're needing. And I try my best. Like the site has definitely gotten really huge over the years, but I still every now and then make sure, well, almost daily at least, like comments and directly respond to questions and link them to the information that they're looking for, and allow people to email me and do my best to respond to as many of those as possible.
Wow. So you're still hands on in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I am, because it's definitely something that I love. I definitely created this site, as a personal natural hair journal, but also I love building community. I love being able to help and to teach people, um, and encourage people on their natural hair journey, because hair, is really easy to say that it's just hair, but it's not. Like it affects your whole outlook on life sometimes. So it's very important.
So I know you had a speaking engagement yesterday. How did that go?
I thought it went really well. I definitely I've been taking the time to really be clear on what it is that I like to do, and make sure that I consistently um, implement those things into my regular routine. So the fact that I was entrusted to talk to, seniors at Clark Atlanta University, like I definitely do not take that take that for granted. So I think it went very well. I thought it was interesting because like the questions were, well, how do you deal with negative comments and how do you balance it? And again, because I'm like, I'm just in the throes of life. I don't, you just do, is usually how I want to respond to those questions. And I never really, it was not on my life plan to be a wife and a mother. So I'm like, do y'all really want to hear about this stuff? I'm usually really shocked to get those questions. Like, y'all really want to know what, like, what my day is like, cooking breakfast for my kids, like I'm like, really? That when do I find time? That's really what y'all want to know, which I'm flattered, but I'm just like, because I do it every day, I'm like, y'all, I'm telling you, it's not that it's like it's not that interesting, I promise.
So, okay. I used to say this thing. Had to be in my 20s. I don't know how I came to this conclusion. But I was like, it's always that thing, can women have it all?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, women can have it all. They just can't have it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, well, women can have it all. They just can't start everything at the same time. Like,
that is a very interesting and I feel that I say that you can have it all, but it's very that all is very fluid. It's not necessarily a destination because life is always happening.
right.
And not only that, but there's certain things that I have come to grips with, and I'm okay. Like I know growing up, my mom would like never have anybody clean her house, but I'm like, girl, come on, like I don't have to do these floors, like. Like I can trust that you can sweep and mop the floor for me.
Right.
I don't,
right.
I don't need to control that aspect of my
Right.
life. And even with my children, like I said, I want to make sure, 1.5. I'm like, okay, these babies need to be socialized, so we're gonna make sure that we find the best daycare. But they don't, I don't have to homeschool my kids. We made sure that we moved to, one of the top school districts in like the country, because their education is still important to me, but I don't have to do that for them. I can be mommy, and I'm okay with that. And even with my husband, sometimes I have to talk to him because he does want to do it all because he has the ability. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should or you have to. So having those conversations, and I think once I understood, like, I'm not necessarily paying somebody to clean my house. I am paying someone so that I can have some extra time with my children, because that whatever 2 to 3 hours that I might have to spend on a Saturday, we can make sure that we're grocery shopping, meal planning for the week, can take the kids to the park. If I need to get through some emails, I can do that. That's a blog post, like, is all of these different things that can be done with that time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I even think that might be a part of a mindset thing too, right? Because it's not about having the stranger in your space, but how can I take this time back and dedicate it to something else?
Mm-hmm. That is more important to me, more of a priority to me than, because at the end of the day, you have stuff that just has to get done. Like, somebody's got to do laundry, like, do I have to be that person to do it? Like, being really clear. No, no, I don't. Like, and I'm okay with that.
I know when you said that, obviously you were documenting your journey from what, 10, we'll just say 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, in college or growing up, you said your education, military. Did you even have business on your mind around that time?
In my mind, that was like maybe 60 years down the road. Oh my gosh. And it does seem like so silly, like thinking about it now. Like I thought, because in my mind, you went on this path of working through corporate America, and this was like we started college before the recession.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so this was a little bit more realistic. Like you could retire and have a good
That's true.
retirement account and be able to invest back into yourself, whether that was making sure that you have multiple properties, stuff paid off, and then, maybe opening. So my sister and my mom both went to cosmetology school. So that was one of the things that I was interested in doing, but more of from owning and managing my own salon and spa. So that was kind of like in that, 60-ish life plan.
But I mean, it's funny. And 15 years ago, I mean, I graduated high school in 2000.
Mm.
It seems far, but it doesn't seem that far.
It doesn't.
But when you think about everything that has transpired, cell phones, technology, social media,
Yes.
and I was telling a friend last night, I'm like, now entrepreneurship is sexy. Like,
Yeah,
because
it is.
everyone wants to be like, I own, I founded, I've created. And granted, I was at a networking event. And I'm like, look, I don't know how y'all making money if y'all are at all these events, because like, because Rochelle, you don't come. No, I don't come out. I got things to take care of.
Okay, I got things to do.
I got clients to serve, and I can't operate this Excel sheet. Yeah, but don't get me started. But
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that. I had a point though.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. It's the same thing with blogging. Like I said, since I was the real blogger, there's like everybody was like, "I'm gonna start a blog," not realizing that a blog is not a business model. Like people ask me for advice and stuff like that, and I almost want to tell them, don't start a blog. like, don't get me wrong. That's how I make my living. It is a great marketing tool. It definitely is. Content marketing is very strong, even still now. But we're seeing it more in video versus actual the print and stuff like that. So it's still there. But just jumping up just because it's so easy. It only takes you like 2 seconds to start a blog. I think that makes people really feel empowered that they can do it, which is great. But if you want to be in business, there's going to be a lot more strategy that goes into figuring out what your business model is going to be, your sales and marketing strategy is going to be, and stuff like that, to actually be able to eat off of whatever it is you're in the business to do. Yeah.
So, since you didn't initially start off with the blog as a business, how have you been able to measure your success, or what has been those milestones over the past 10 years? You can just name maybe one or two.
Yeah, for me, it has definitely been that lifestyle design. The fact that, for example, when I had my youngest child 2 years ago, that the month he was born was my highest revenue month to date. Yeah, and I basically was on maternity leave. Um, I emailed my team like a week or two before he arrived and let them know that, hey, I'm y'all got it, like stuff like that, and the fact that I can be whatever that is. I have the flexibility to set my own schedule and to set my focus or my priority. Um, thankfully, if, and hopefully they don't get sick, but if one of my children gets sick, I don't have to call in and feel the stress of, oh, well, my child is sick, or, I have the flexibility and the freedom to, okay, well, my child is sick. I might have to move some stuff around on my calendar, but it's going to be okay. So,
So I want to pivot a little bit and get some advice on some things, I guess more personal questions. Um, Now, I think it seems like the majority of my friends, my circle, the women, are natural. Um, so I don't know. This feels like it's going to be a weird question, but when you were transitioning, because you've been married for a while, but when you were transitioning, whether you were dating or already in a serious relationship with Mr. Floyd,
mhm.
um, what were some of the ways that he was able to support you through that transition? And like, what advice can you give to men and women, I guess women that are transitioning? How can their men, their relationships, their, intimate relationships support them through that? Because I think that that's one thing a lot of women are scared when it comes to
Mhm.
that transition, because one, they're in a relationship or just the
Mhm.
overall uh, process of dating, and then two, they're worried about their job.
Yeah. I think that definitely that relationship piece is huge when it comes to changing your physical appearance. But in most cases, people are more worried about what is my mama gonna think, like what is my daddy gonna think,
I wasn't
or
expecting that.
yeah, what are my parents gonna be okay with it? And you get to a point where I tell people, like, you definitely don't want to have buyer's remorse when it comes to your hair. It is your hair. You go to bed with it, you wake up with it, you have to style it and maintain it. So you make sure that whatever you pick your hairstyle to be, that it's conducive to your lifestyle. Um and a lot of times we have these internal preconceived ideas of what we think people want or expecting in general, and unfortunately it applies to our physical appearance as well. So understanding that you have to deal with it, not them. you know and there are so many products on the market. There's so much information. There's so many hairstyle tutorials that um, there's something out there for everybody, so you can figure out what works for you. There are some people who decide to lock. There are some people who decide, you know what, I'm going to be natural, but I'm still going to, flat iron my hair and stuff like that. Like, I think ultimately the goal should be healthy hair, as well as maintaining a hairstyle that works for you as an individual. Thankfully, like my husband, he's always been very supportive. I basically big chopped. Um, what were we married for a year yet? I don't even think. No, we had just been married for like a year and a month when I big chopped. So, so I had talked about it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna cut all my hair off, and he was like, okay, cool, do it. So like, so my stylist was moving to Dallas, and I'm like, I guess it's now or never. So I had went to work, and me and my husband, we were working at the same place, so we commuted together and stuff like that. And the stylist, she lived maybe 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes away from my job. So I went over there on my lunch break. So I had like long, relaxed hair, going to work. And then my lunch break, I cut it all off. So, and it was such a shock to
Oh my
me. And
god.
it was just like, so I'm like hiding around corners in the building. Like, so, so one of my friends, can you go get Ben? Like, because he hadn't seen it. And he's like, "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Do you like it? Like, because I can go relax it if I need to, like, because
Oh my God.
she was cutting it, and I was going for like a short, like straight style, but because I had already been transitioning for 5 months, she's like, "Girl, this stuff is curling up," and I was like, "What?" Like, I had no clue. Like, I had no clue. So my story is very interesting. And thankfully my husband he was very supportive. He was like, go for it. But he's just that type of guy. But I think even if he wasn't, I feel like I would need to do what worked for me, because my husband is not going to spend the 3 to 4 hours to come help me do my hair. And most most partners, husbands, whatever, like aren't going to do that. So
Yeah.
you have to keep that. You have to keep that in mind. Like, this is your hair. So one of the biggest things that how he helped me was like, he would notice, like, while I was doing my hair, that I did not want to be bothered. Like, I was really frustrated, like, especially when I first went natural, because I didn't know what to do with it, what products to use. So I would like be mid deep conditioning my hair, like, I need to go to Sally's to go find this product, you know? So he would like try to like come in and, be sweet. You want anything? You need anything? Give me a kiss on the cheek. And it got to the point where he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, look at me. Look at what I'm doing. What am I doing? He's like, "Your hair." Yes. He's like, "Oh, okay." So now when he sees me doing my hair, he just knows. He's like, "Oh, okay, you're doing your hair. All right." Like, let me know if you need anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I transitioned, I was working at Chase, and I think I was definitely there for at least a year. I was approaching a year.
Hmm.
And I just remember feeling comfortable with the company. And I was like, I can transition now. Because, I had finance degree, or I was working on that. And there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me. And I was at Chase, and there was people that looked like me. And I just felt comfortable. And because I was admiring other women from afar, like, oh my God, you ask all those questions. Like, how long you been at? And
Mhm,
then,
mhm.
I wasn't as dramatic as you, but I was at peace with my decision.
Good. And that's all that matters.
During the lunch break, I was like, oh my God. Wow. So, what do you think is missing in your life right now?
I honestly can say nothing. Because even if it's not here, I do have a plan to accomplish or achieve or to get those things that I feel like I'm needing. Which is a great place to be, because the alternative is feeling hopeless. So from that, I definitely feel empowered. I One of the main things, and I wanted to tell you, thank you so much for being so candid about mental health and talking about the benefits of therapy and stuff like that. And that has been a huge lifesaver and game changer for me, because you don't even realize that there's so many hangups that we have from so and so that said something to us in second grade, and so hashing all of those things out and getting to a place where I feel secure enough to set boundaries and to ask for the things that I really want and need, and also giving people grace and understanding that just because you need those things and just because you ask for those things doesn't necessarily mean that those people are equipped to give you those things. And sometimes it's hard because this these people might be your parents or, something like that, or your spouse. But coming to a place where you have that unbiased perspective to help you to hash things out and to accomplish, define what you want, and then accomplish those things or incorporate those things that you actually want in your life. So a long-winded answer, I know. I'm sorry.
No. I'm just like giving people grace. That's beautiful. I need to work on that. Need to work on that. Okay, we're gonna start on March 1st, though.
Okay, good. I'll check in on you.
Yeah, mental health, that's important to me. And so thank you for saying that, because that means a lot to me, as I try to be an advocate for that. And I'm like, look, I've had a therapist off and on for as long as I can remember, and I'm not diagnosed with anything. And I think that's the most important thing I try to get to people, that it's okay. It's okay to go talk to someone, another perspective outside of family and friends, has a clear vision. Because I don't know about you, but my friends are very protective when it comes to me dating. And I'm like, we don't need to go to jail tonight. So, I'm like, yeah, okay, Team Michelle, it's a little too serious. Let's just let's take it. Let's be clear about this. But but it's good, and I just want to continue to push that, especially within our African American community. It's like, it's okay. It's okay to talk to someone. Just go.
Absolutely, especially with relationship problems. And I've been in a interesting position where me and my husband have been married for over a decade, but a lot of people my age can't say that. So and even some of the challenges that we've had with our children and stuff like that, people haven't walked that journey. So getting that sound advice, I love them to death, but they're not the ones. So going to a professional, like, you have to, like, you have to. I think that definitely secures your success. And not only that, but most of the most successful people, even the people that we see as very successful, they will, be candid about therapy and also having, business coaches. So
absolutely,
you can't do it on your own.
So what's next? Natural Hair Rules, what's in store 2017 and beyond?
That is definitely an interesting question. I'm focusing more on making myself a priority, and just kind of being okay with sustaining Natural Hair Rules where it is. So, Natural Hair Rules, thankfully, has been really consistent in the amount of revenue that it generates, as well as its growing followers. So just maintaining that while I kind of make myself my top priority. And a lot of that is giving myself grace, and you know and I think investing into myself personally, as well as business wise, with continuing education. And thankfully, I've also going to be expanding into doing a little bit more online mentorship, as it pertains to people who are interested in signing up for B School. So doing those things as well.
Tamara, it's been an absolute pleasure. Not just this conversation, but once again, following your success. And I mean, just it's like coming from college, right? It's like someone coming from home and they're successful. They're just representing. And I think sometimes We just don't know where the potential lies, but it's good to see it once it manifests. And I think that's definitely you and your husband, the story of your family, and it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much. And I definitely want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. And, because you're definitely kicking against the grain in more ways than one and not being afraid to do that. So thank you so much for doing that and keep doing that.
So the last question, how do you define success?
Yes. So success for me is definitely, like I said, fluid. I think the last couple of years, I found myself in a place where I was very discouraged um, because I thought once I hit a certain milestone that I thought it was going to make me happy. I'm just going to say that, and it didn't. It was like it just kind of felt like it didn't feel that like that real sense of accomplishment. So now that I'm realizing that success is not necessarily a destination and that success is a little bit more fluid, and success for me isn't necessarily tied to my followership or how much money I'm making or how well my children or my husband are doing or what's going on with me as an individual is more of being able to create and have the emotional and financial stability as well as security that I need.
There you have it. Everyone, be sure to check out Tamara Floyd at naturalhealthrules.com. Follow her on social media. Remember, I believe in you, and a personal connection leads to an influential network. So thanks for networking with Michelle.